I'm still shaking. I love this guy, I swear to God. Thank you.
I think you're the only person to ever get that.
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm shaking.
I'll keep it simple. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Woo!
Horror has always been such a topical genre, and though many people look at it from afar, it's just a blood and guts genre. Going back to Night of the Living Dead, it's always been a political commentary. So good for you for making this movie.
I appreciate that, thank you.
How does this project come about?
You know, it was one of those situations where it was right time, right place. At this time last year, I signed with my agents, just at this time last year, and they said, okay, well, let's go put you and do some generals, just general meetings, and Blumhouse was my first general meeting. And, you know, within the conversation, it was just, what are you doing, what are you doing? And they described their Into the Dark series, and they said, we just happen to be tackling this border crossing horror movie. And I was like, mira, have you seen my border crossing horror short? I mean, you don't hear that very often. and they were like, no, we haven't seen it. And I said, well, how about you watch my short El Gigante and you give me a call. Like, I felt all like, oh, give me a call. And sure enough, like, they gave me the call right away, and it just, you know, it's like a match made in hell, I think. It was just right time, right place, and you know, I did the whole process. I pitched 4 times to really prove myself, and you know, this concept of the American dream and VR really spoke to me when I first read the script, and I was like, Blumhouse, if you let me do this, it's gonna be so Mexican, I swear to God. I was like, if you let me put my hands in this script, like, I promise you, it's gonna be so Mexicano, you will not even know. And like,
Is the script always meant to be 50% English, 50% Mexican?
No, it was a little less. I would say like there was maybe 30%, 30% Spanish.
I know.
It's okay. I get it all the time, bro.
I knew at the moment I said it. I'm sorry.
It's okay, homie.
They love to give me shit.
It's an apocalypse. It's supposed to happen. No, it was a lot less Spanish. And I really saw the opportunity. I was like, you know what? We can really change the game with this film and have it 50-50 and really feel authentic in a way. To me, that was truly a win that I was really excited for.
What, I mean, for your first feature, I mean, what an epic powerhouse of having Hulu and Blumhouse behind you. How was that to work with?
I still haven't woken up from it.
Sure.
No, but you know what? It's really cool, and as a lot of us know, like Blumhouse work with a very constrained budget. So for me, I felt I can do this. You know, as an indie filmmaker, we know how to do things with little budget and be creative around that. And I mean, and honestly, it looks like a lot more than what I had. I think. I hope. But it really was so cool and such a blessing that my first feature could be with them, because Blumhouse, they just let you do your thing. Like, I was asking them all the time, like, you know, is this okay? Is this okay? And they're like, just talk to us when you're done. Literally, like, they were tired of me asking all the time. And I was like, okay, bueno, adios. Like, I literally felt that I was just doing my thing the whole time. And even on set, I was directing in Spanish and in English, and that was really cool. I'm sure the execs had no idea what I was saying, but it was worth it. It was cool.
And a bit of a personal question,
yeah.
but it would seem a project like this may be particularly close to you. How much do you lean into just personal experience with a story like this?
A lot. There was so much of, I don't even want to say just me in this film, but a lot of like true and real facts. Even from the little boy Ricky, I don't think a lot of people have really talked about how there's a lot of kids that travel alone all the way from Guatemala and actually have to pose as Mexicans just in case that they get caught. They just make it, you know, at least one border back instead of all the way down. It's crazy. And even a lot of the dialogue and the relationships between the characters are very much either an experience for myself or one of the co-writers or even my family. Like the midwife, Lupita, a lot of her quotes are my grandma's quotes, actually. It was really cool to put her in, to put a lot of that dialogue. But also something really personal that I want to share was, you know, when I moved from Mexico to Canada, that was a very big change in my family and my life. So much that still to this day, people ask me, Gigi, do you prefer Mexico or Canada? And I can never say an answer. They're two different worlds. I cannot compare the two. And that was exactly what I wanted to do in this movie, basically create two worlds because of that feeling I had when I moved to Canada. So I was like, you know what, let's actually film it very fucking different. Like, let's do something so impacting like that. Because coming from somebody like me, and I'm sure people from the audience, they know what it's like. Like a culture shock for an immigrant is quite the trip. It's quite the experience.
It shows. It's I've always felt like you've had a very distinct style, and
I saved it for the end.
How is it working with Barbara?
Oh, God bless her.
She's the best.
I love her.
She's amazing.
Betty was by far the hardest role to cast.
Yeah.
And she hadn't auditioned yet, but we went through so many nice little old ladies auditioning for this. But nobody really got Betty, and it's a hard role because it's like she's not real, and you know, there's like a nice fine line of like being too cartoony or too cheesy. And I was like, man, no mames, nobody's getting this role. Like, it just wasn't working out. And then I was like, wait a second, Barbara Crampton, she loves me, she'll do it. She knows me, kind of. And so I decided to contact her, and she sent in a self-tape because she doesn't live in LA. And I remember her self-tape was really bad quality, whatever phone she used. And she's like, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for the bad lighting, but didn't matter. Her self-tape was so good. It was like, yeah, that's good, Barbara, we'll see you on set. Like, it was just so easy. She's great. But she's creepy. I love her.
She's creepy.
I love her.
Let's take some audience questions.
Sure.
For me. Yes, right here.
So how hard was it to get everybody to walk kind of in choreographed in sync so they kind of look like robots? With the smiles, was that all live action? Was there some CG in there?
No. I'm telling you, I had the best background ever. Like, this background was they were such a fun group of people, and also a lot of them were Latino, so we kept making jokes a lot on set, but it was all them. Like, it took a few tries, and actually the editor had such a blast listening to all the takes because you can hear me in the back, smile bigger, smile as big as you can, you in the back, you're not smiling, like you can hear me on the megaphone, this is the best day of your lives, guys, best day of your lives. Like, you can hear that. And then when we would go to Mexico, I'd be like, nope, don't smile, this is sad, everybody's sad. Like, it was so funny, but everybody was having such a good time that the background was just willing to do it over and over until it was perfect. And actually, a lot of the takes you see was just the background being, I don't want to say the background, but the background just having a blast. Like, all of them walking in sync. Like, I think that was only 2 takes. And sorry, they were just like, they looked like robots. I was like, roll the camera, they look in sync. Like, that wasn't planned. I just wanted them smiling and walking, but they were all so creepy and into it. They were great, and them eating. You should see me yelling at them there. Keep eating it, stuff it, stuff it, stuff it. Sorry, true story.
More questions? Yes.
Okay, I'm wondering how much of it was actually filmed at the border, or if any of it was filmed within further distance from the border.
No, none of it was filmed in the border. We had to really recreate Mexico. All of it was filmed in LA, which was really fun because I mean I'm not from there. And when I was location scouting on my own, I was like Googling Mexico-looking places in LA. And I'm not joking. I went by myself on a weekend, and it took me to East LA. And I was so excited by myself. I made good friends with the Uber driver. I'm like, hey, if you drive me around, I'll buy you tacos. Like, for real. And he drove me around Boyle Heights and like just really cool grungy places like that. I was like, okay, I found our spots. And I was excited to go to the office and be like, this is where we're filming. Get security and we'll go there. And it was really fun. Like the furthest we went was in Santa Clarita, like all the desert stuff. Honey, it was cold. Oh, wow. I had to ask my parents to FedEx my Canadian like parka to film in the desert in LA. I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, no, none of it was filmed anywhere near the border. It was fun. It was really cool to recreate all those things. Yeah.
I saw another question. Is that Miss Heather Buckley?
I love you.
Congratulations, my lady.
Thank you.
So you made the script for Mexican. What percentage of Mexican did you add to that script when you got it? And also on the set, I see a lot of representation with you, and of course the actors have representation behind the set as well.
No, good question. You know, definitely, you know, the script had the idea and the concept to start, but and I'm gonna be frank, it didn't really, I didn't feel the perspective from a Latino standpoint, not just Mexican, but just from a Hispanic immigrant's point of view. And I know what that's like, you know, for myself, my family, and a lot of my family members. So it was really cool to bring that to the table. And I mean, like, heck, like, I wasn't allowed to translate half that stuff in Spanish because it's a lot of swear words. But I was like, that's how we talk. That's how Mexicanos are. We talk with swear words our whole lives. You know, so definitely, I mean, how much more Mexican was added? Quite a bit. And I'm going to be very honest about that. And it feels like that, which is really exciting. I mean, I love hearing in the audience. I could tell there was some Mexicanos because they caught some of the jokes, the inside jokes. And that's incredible feeling. And even, you know, that other people can get it too. And the representation, that was so important to me, like to get a cast that was Mexican. For myself, that Spanish is my first language. I see a lot of shows that still lack the authenticity in the Spanish. Big shows or big movies that I can hear, I'm like, nah, they're not Mexicano. Nah, they're not Cubano. Nah. You know, I could hear it. And I told the studio, I was like, we can't do that. We can't do that mistake. And every actor was so thankful for that on this show. And even Richard plays Santo, even though he is second generation Mexican American and he doesn't speak Spanish, for him was so important to tap to his roots and work on his dialogue, and it worked. And you know, I think it just made such a difference, I think, for all the cast and having that diversity. It was really fun, yeah.
We have time for a couple more questions.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that there's some sort of uniqueness to the perfection in like the big scenes. How do you balance the sort of being a horror elements with
Yeah, how did I balance that? Yeah, I mean, you know, for anybody who's seen my past work, like I go full on crazy with gore and I just don't stop with the shock value. But this time I was like, you know what, we don't need it. Like the creepiness is there. And sometimes like, I was thinking a lot of the quote we hear a lot in English of, it's too good to be true. Like we don't really have that in Spanish. And I was like, it's too good to be true. You know, nothing is perfect. And something that really inspired creepiness to that world was the old propaganda posters from way back in the 50s and so, like, they just feel so timeless and odd and eerie. And I said, what if our characters lived in a propaganda poster come to life, in a Pleasantville gone wrong? That's already enough. That's horrific to me. That's enough, you know? And I find with a story like this, it's not necessary to go full horror. The story is there with what we're going on today. We see it in the news every day, and that's already heavy enough for us to experience. So it was kind of like, let's give the audience a relief instead, that we can have a good time. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, of course.
And we'll do one more. I saw one. Yeah?
You spoke to this being, your first feature working with Blumhouse and Hulu. It felt so confident on screen. It felt like balls out, super confident. I love that. How did you tap into the confidence you needed to carry that weight? I feel like you're being under a lot of pressure as a filmmaker. Like how did you tap into confidence?
No, that's an awesome question. I was scared shitless every day. But I was really scared because every single thing I've made, and even the Warner Bros. Show La Quinceañera that I directed, all of it has been with my team back in Vancouver with Lucha Gore. And this was the first time that I had nobody of the family of the team that I'd grown up with in my career. But it was that fact that I was going into something already set and ready that actually gave me that boost of, holy shit, I'm being trusted for this. Let's give her. Nobody knows me. So I'm gonna put on my boss bitch boots and nobody knows what's up. No, for real. Like, I was like, okay, nobody knows me. Okay, we got this. Like, it felt like the right place to, I'm not saying like to not be myself, but it was like, I really had not a single friend. So my focus and my drive was so set on this film. And I think, a lot of filmmakers here can totally relate. When you work with your friends, it's different, more laid back, And in this case, there was no other Latinos on the key departments. There was no other Spanish-speaking people. There was barely any. And so it just really, it put me on the spot. Sometimes when you work under pressure, like you do your best work, and I just wanted to share that culture so much. Like even on the production offices, I printed every day a new piece of paper that said ghetto Mexican word of the day, and I would like post it all over the place. Just one day would be a huevo, another day no mames, like just like random things by the offices, just so everybody can just kind of get into it and just. Yeah, I mean, it was tough though, like don't get me wrong, I was fucking scared every day, but I could tell the trust was there from everybody, and that really is inspiring. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You have some gifts for people too.
You have some gifts for people? She came with gifts. She couldn't help herself, so there will be gifts available. Look, essentially what you've done and what we're seeing a lot of filmmakers do is take the horrors of reality, turn them around, and shove them in our face. And
literally,
and it's so important because I think we can all learn a lot about ourselves and life through the entertainment of genre film, the experience. A lot of people are going to see this. It's a Blumhouse project. It's on Hulu. God knows what their fucking impressions are these days, but it's millions, and it's all demographics. And so, from your perspective, if somebody was going to take something away from this that they didn't have, that they didn't know, what would that be?
Ask that again. That's a tough that.
What are your hopes that somebody who doesn't know about Mexican culture, somebody who doesn't understand, look look at where we're at right now. It's, you know, we're in a world full of fucking uneducated assholes, and the hope is that a lot of them are seeing works like yours. What do you want somebody to take away from this piece?
You know, with not just a piece like this, but I feel us new coming filmmakers is our responsibility to challenge audiences. And in this case, even as little as watch a bilingual film, as little as, you know, as a political issue on screen. If we don't challenge the audiences won't be challenged at all to learn something new. And we will continue to be lazy, I think, you know, and I think what I want people to take from a movie like this, and you know, I said this earlier, I feel really strongly about that, it opens up and encourages the conversation to make our place better. We all live in the same fucking world, we might as well share it, you know, like, and same with just the metaphor of Independence Day. We all have our own freedom and our own version of our own independence, no matter what country you're from. You know, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, which is a fair chance in life, I think. And so I really hope people, when they watch this, they think about that. And they think about that some of us have it better than the others. And, you know, like in the end of the movie, like Santos says, you know, not all of us can go home. Some of us have to start over. And I think that really applies to everybody in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I just live in harmony, man. Like, it's heavy answer because there's so much to say. There's so many things that I want people to take with them after seeing something like this. But it's all baby steps. At the end of the day, it's all steps that we just have to keep tackling. Yeah.
It's so much better than Bill Pullman's speech in Independence Day.
Oh, that's a good cue for him.
Thank you so much for bringing this to us
Thank
tonight.
you.
Big round of applause.